And hello there, welcome to Speak Up Monday, Inspiring Humanity Stream. This morning we have an incredible actress, my sister Tasia Valenza. Welcome to the show, my darling.
Robert, it's a pleasure to be with you, and I'm on Tuesday time, you're on Wednesday time, but it's we're on our time when we're together. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's right. And look, so for those of you who don't know, Speak Up Monday is an award-winning now, we just won an award for motivation just last week. Super happy, super proud of that. It's been 2.5 years every Monday. This is a special one, obviously, and you know, it's a deep dive Q&A for those who haven't seen, unlocking, you know, wisdom, genius, love, joy, tips, tricks and hacks, right, from our illustrious guests, which end up being entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, but leaders in their field, right? Leaders in their field. And my name is Robert Ian Bonnick, and I'm a speaker coach, but really I love to advise entrepreneurs, leaders and coaches who want to turn their story into impact and income. And what I'm really looking forward to today, because you're such an amazing, you know, Star Wars actress, Emmy Award winner, TEDx speaker, you know, the founder of Give Great Voice Room on Clubhouse. It's like and you're a beautiful human being, right? So I'm really looking forward to, you know, to going deeper with you. And for those people who may be looking at either getting into acting, or maybe they're looking to be inspired or motivated, you know, today is for you. If you're stuck in a rut and you're wondering how to get out, today is for you. And at the end, we might have something special. Let's see how we go. But Tasia, I know you're like, special what?
I was like, oh, okay.
I'm like, what is that?
Supposed to know, or is it going to be a surprise for me?
It's going to be a surprise for all of us.
All right, I love that.
Oh,
I love
it.
that. Well, I just want to wish you an incredible congratulations. And you know, Robert, you pour so much into everybody that I wanted to reflect back that. Are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, it's funny because now I'm only seeing me instead of you on the top. So you're not actually in my sphere of seeing.
Yes. So we are here. I think the guys are doing something back here technically, but
okay. Well, I just wanted to say that I appreciate so much how you pour into all your guests. And so I just wanted to give great voice means to move, touch, and impact using our voices. So everybody should be pouring into you this congratulations, to be celebrating this success. And I just think that it's something that we should celebrate together. So congratulations on all the gifts that you give when you give great voice, because otherwise, you know, we wouldn't be having this conversation, but you also wouldn't be recognized for this award. So that's just wonderful.
Oh, thank you, my darling. And you know what? It's interesting because, you know, your room on Clubhouse, you know, which is for me every Friday at 7 a.m. Bali time, and then for you it's what, like 4 o'clock?
4 p.m. Pacific. I'm on Pacific.
Yeah.
I'm in Los Angeles.
Yeah. So you're Pacific time. And, you know, like, I remember, you know, in the beginning when I was in some rooms with you, for those who don't know what Clubhouse is, it's an audio app taking the world by storm. If you're not on it, get on it now. It's also on iOS. So iOS is where it started. It's also on Android as well now. So there's no excuses. Get onto it. And, you know, you just hear somebody's voice. And I guess the beauty of it is that, you know, when you hear someone's voice, you can't hide, you know, and what you feel and your tone and your honesty, sincerity, authenticity, it all comes. And you haven't got these visual things that we've got today, right, to kind of gauge anything. So it literally is just you expressing from that place. And every time that you express something, I was blown away, because it's like, you know, there's something, and this was before I knew about, you know, the voiceover actress, the Emmy Award winner, the Star Wars, and everything else that you've done. But it was just your tone and your frequency, your resonance, that to me I thought, there's something beautiful about this woman, and I don't know what it is, but it's infectious, and it draws you in. And this room that you've got going, the Give Great Voice room, it does just that, where we give a poem or a quote or something which inspires us, you know, and it just just lifts our day. And whenever I'm finished in your room, whether I'm there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, right? Whatever it is, you feel like lifted, and you kind of go like bouncing through your day, like there was like nothing else mattered, So I guess my first question to you might be, like where did all of this, this acting, this ability to express, or this desire to express, where did it all begin?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, I'll tell you, my parents were both actors, and so I was born into it. They weren't by the time I was, but my father had been on Broadway at 15, and my mother had been given a scholarship to music and art and traveled. So I kind of was born singing, I gotta be me. So I kind of knew early on that the power of the voice. So they both also were great communicators in that they used their voices and they expressed their emotions, and sometimes too much. There was a lot of dysfunction in terms of that, but I knew, like I was cast as the lead in every camp play. I was Sandy in Grease and Maria in West Side Story. So it was like, and I was filled with that same passion when I was on that stage. So I knew that this is what I wanted to do. This was my calling. And from there, I was discovered by a French director when I was 15 years old, by Louis Malle, who was a French director who's now deceased, but he was very well known. Kind of was my star story. Like one day I was in a high school play, the next day I was in a movie with Sean Penn and Donald Sutherland and Christina Baranski. And then 6 months later, I was on All My Children for 3 years and nominated for an Emmy. So kind of my trajectory of Give Great Voice was from day one. And then it evolved to voiceover, voice acting, because I realized that this was a better form for me. I call myself a recovering actress and a fully functioning voiceover artist because as an actor, we're so damaged from all the rejection. But once I discovered voice acting, the level of not being enough went away. Not pretty enough, tall enough, smart enough, thin enough, all the enoughs that they tell you are. When I got to be a voiceover actor, I was able to apply my passion, apply my talents, apply my gifts, and not be boxed in anymore. So I was unleashed to give great voice. And so I've been doing that for the last 27 years.
Wow.
And my recognition of all the gifts, that understanding the 4 questions of the role I'm playing, how I'm speaking to someone, how are they receiving it, and how does my voice and tone support that intention, I could teach to not just voiceover actors, but the world. And so this is what Give Great Voice is. That's what came the TEDx talk. And I am forever on this mission to empower people to use their voices, to think of it as a musical instrument that they can move, touch, and impact. And that's what I'll be doing, and that's why we are connected today.
Yeah, love it. And I honor that story. And the first question that quickly pops up for me, though, is that Sean Penn, Donald Sutherland. So what was it like to work with these guys? Because, you're being thrust into the spotlight with some incredible, Oscar-winning, actors or Academy Award-winning actors. How did you deal with that? Because you mentioned about the enoughness and, not tall enough, pretty enough, good enough. It's Hollywood. These things are right there. I mean, I used to model with all the greats, supermodels. And I remember, that I felt that too. And I realized, that, I remember real quick, there was one moment, Milan, Swiss Jeans, Naomi Campbell, and I think it was Ava Herzegovina, and I was the first guy out on stage, and I'd lived this life of believing that, that I wasn't good enough, the Caucasian set of values, all the rest of that. And I thought I'd nipped it in the bud because I thought by validation and association, working with the best looking people in the world meant that I looked okay, and I was at peace with that. And then about 30 seconds before I was due to go on stage, or to start the catwalk on stage, I remember all of those feelings of lack, those feelings of not being good enough, those feelings of not looking right, sounding right, standing right, having the right body, even though the body was great. All right, all of that came up.
Imposter syndrome, the enoughness.
Yeah, and I suddenly realized that everything that I had spoken about was bullshit, right? Because I was sensing, and so at that point I realized I was trying the outside in, validation from the outside to give me validation in a belief, in a trust, in a love on the inside. And I realized that was a sham and a scam, and it didn't work. So I knew 30 seconds before going on, that I had to go the other way. I had to go inside out, not outside in. So like in the context of that, like what comes up for you when you're working with these great guys, Sutherland, Sean Penn, and others, and you're there thrust into the spotlight, what was going on for you?
Not enoughness. I was absolutely, well, for one thing, I mean, the only thing I had going for me was just, it happened so fast. One day I was auditioning at an open call, and the next day I was on a plane, and for me, when I thought, like, who's going to be my leading man, I was like Scott Baio at the time, or Christian Lands, and then I found out it was Sean Penn, and I was like, Spicoli from Richmond High. So I wasn't as enamored as I might have been, but certainly, screen testing and having my makeup done, and at that point I was never thin enough. I mean, I was to this day, in terms of like I'm built kind of very voluptuous, which is in now, but it wasn't then. And so I thought they're going to discover that I'm too fat, and they're going to, I'm not going to get the part because they're going to just see that, she looks too fat on camera. And so that was really a painful kind of like that imposter, like they're going to find out. And somehow I was able to get past that. With my darkest, blackest, and said, I think I probably fibbed and said like I had just gained some weight because my ankle was, sprained or something. And so, they put me on a diet right away and had me swimming. So it was painful in that I went through the whole movie, and they told me, they said, there's something special about you. And it was wonderful that, I remember one of the ADs, the assistant director, said, Louis Malle saw something in you, and you have something special. So again, there's like that little bit of validation, but on the inside, it was much more to my core as a child of divorce, and that sense that I was not enough from day one. Yeah. That was always permeating. That was always underneath it. So that was the great thing, is that, it's great for acting because, there was always something kind of I could emote and my feelings were there. But on the inside, I felt very much like I was an imposter. But at the same time, the insecurity of like, yes, I must be somebody because they're saying I'm somebody. So it was that duality that kept going back and forth. And so I did the movie, and I went back to high school, and I was like, now all of a sudden this big, mucky-muck, now I'm a celebrity. But that feeling just permeated me the whole time, and it followed me right straight to All My Children, which the character was written as a very insecure teenager. So I got the part based on that I really wasn't acting. And that, again, I was nominated for an Emmy because I cried so well. But that was because I was really coming in with my dysfunction. So, yeah, it took me a long time to, as you said, really, truly love myself and accept myself. And during that time, it was literally only so hungry for the validation, which is unfortunately not great for life, but definitely great for actors because we need that, and we'll do whatever it takes to get it.
Like this raises up something for me. As I mentioned before, I grew up with Caucasian values. Clearly, I'm not a Caucasian guy. And I remember sitting in my room many times. At the age of 12, I'm there with a mirror in front of my face. I'm pulling myself apart. My nose is too wide, my lips too big, head too pointed. All of this spiraling down. And on one of these occasions, like the lowest that I could possibly go, that I didn't know at the time, I remember in that darkness was a voice. Now, I had many voices going on in my head, but most of those voices were telling me that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't this enough or that enough or white enough or even black enough, right? Either way, I was getting it. And this was the first time which I heard a supportive voice come up, and it was a warm voice, and it said to me, you know, Rob, just look after your skin, right? Just look after your skin. And, you know, even though the content of what it said made me laugh, but it was just the first time that I tapped in to this voice of warmth, belief, self-assuredness, this voice of like my, I don't know, like my higher self or something, call it what you like, you know, and I began slowly but surely, haphazardly, to start to follow the instructions and the advice of that voice, and less so the others. But now you were saying before about this imposter syndrome, and that you know, you get this validation, and it helps as an actor, you know, to help you to think, well, you know, maybe I am good, maybe I have got something going for me, right? But for you, were there any voices going on in your head, and how did you, if there was, how did you reconcile which voice to listen to, and where did that voice of the voice that probably is with you now, like where did that come from? How did you find it?
That's a great question. Well, you know, I started going to therapy by the time I was 15. My father was smart enough, who had been an actor in the 60s, and went to therapy in the 60s when, you know, nobody did. And he was the first person who said, I think you need help, sweetheart, and I see you're suffering, and I want you to go get some therapy. So I really credit it to him, because to that point, I didn't know what I felt. Like, I didn't really understand like what I felt. And I remember actually the therapist, one of those pivotal like beginning of this like awareness, when I said, you know, I felt like eating, you know, this happened, and I felt like eating. And she said, no, how did you really feel? And I said, I felt like eating. And then she said, no, but how did you feel? And I said, I felt like eating. And she said, actually, it sounds to me like you felt angry, so maybe you ate. Or you felt sad, and so you ate. Or you felt depressed or anxious, and then you ate. You had a feeling, and then you ate. But you didn't allow yourself to feel your feelings. And that was that light bulb moment.
Wow.
That started me on like, wow, I need to feel my feelings, and then I won't eat them or drug them or work them or sex them or ask for that validation or numb them. And then I can start experiencing and knowing myself. And then from knowing myself, I can start loving myself. And that, I think, started me on the very long and windy journey of self-exploration, which continues to this day. It's not perfect, but it definitely got me thinking about my internal life as opposed to just, you know, acting and not contemplating who am I and what makes me go and why do I feel this way.
Wow. That's an insight right there, you know. Just the way you broke it down is I really get it, you know, and I really get that, because, you know, you hear about, you know, we eat and we do these things based upon certain reasons and feelings, but the way you just explained it, I really get how the sequence of events occurs for people and why you reach over for that food or that drug. I mean, I grew up running clubs for a long time, nightclubs, and with famous people and all this other stuff, and you get to see how people mask that feeling, you know, with other things, whatever those things might be.
Try to push down the feelings, but it comes out the side. That's what they say in OA and AA. If we push down the feelings, it comes out the side. So we only numb them for a short time, but our feelings want to be felt.
Wow, you know. And look, for those of you tuning in on Instagram, we're SpeakuP Monday, award-winning deep dive Q&A with Tasia Valenza, incredible actor, incredible human being, Emmy Award actress, Star Wars actress, and TEDx speaker and founder of Give Great Voice. Now, what comes up for me next?
Sorry.
It's okay.
My God's Give Great Voice. Hold on.
This is live, people. This is how we roll.
That's okay. Go on. Keep going. I'm going to get him out of here. But he's like this big. Go ahead. You talk.
I love it. All right. You know, so, you know, some aspiring actors coming up now. You know, like, what are, you know, some of the most valuable insights that you could give them from an inside-out perspective?
So if I could hand them any gift, it would be to start really tuning in to how am I feeling? What are my feelings? Can I feel my feelings fully? And also the recognition of we're operating from our hard drives, which is our mind, our brains, which was programmed 0 to 7, where we weren't so aware of who we were, who we are. And so we learned to feel about ourselves based on how it was reflected back to us. So 0 to 3, the primary years, we were told, from our parents' views and how they received us, how they received each other. Did their lives light up when we entered the room? Did they tell us we were essentially worthy by how they loved us and how they loved themselves, and how did they model? So it's this combination of really understanding that most of us are running on a hard drive that's 0 to 7 years old, and we need a software update. So to start really questioning our feelings, becoming the witness to our feelings, and then reprogramming our feelings by self-affirming, by giving great voice to ourselves, by recognizing that it's so easy to tear ourselves down, that I'm not enough, and I'm not pretty enough, and I'm not smart enough. But where do those thoughts come from? Where do those feelings come from? And if they're not valid, they're not true, can we rewrite the program? Yes. And how can we do that? With our own voice. And it might feel awkward at first, but it's like learning the language of self-love I talk about. And learning any language is awkward. How many of us speak a second or third language? God, that would be amazing, right? Those of us who can. How do you learn it? Like, I speak the tiniest bit of French. Je m'appelle Tasia. It's very awkward, but when you say it enough, in the I am or I have, with the intention behind it, the give great voice intention, and you say it often enough, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am confident, I am powerful, I am talented, those negative programming feelings and thoughts will start diminishing and diminishing. And it's not that they'll necessarily go away completely, but you can override it and then start questioning again. Oh, gosh, I'm having a negative thought again. 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day downloading that many of us don't even realize. We can start becoming the witness, keep questioning it, keep affirming it. And the more we do that, the more we will change those thoughts, change those affirmations, change the negative to the positive. And then we can go in with that feeling to whatever goal we set, the deep, deep-rooted feeling of I am worthy. Because that's what we all really, at our core, want to feel.
Love that, and it reminds me of this incredible exercise, and we're going to get on to Star Wars in a second, but before we do, it reminds me of this incredible exercise that from our rooms, you know the one. So Lisa Nichols, it's that mirror exercise in the morning where you adopt the warrior pose, so yes, right, or the Superman or the Superwoman pose, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, right? This is before you brush your teeth, before you put your makeup on, anything like that, and there's 3 statements. So one is, first one is, Rob, you say your name. Mine's Rob, obviously. So Rob, I am proud of you for. Because we're talking about mental health now. So Rob, I am proud of you for. And 7 things that you're proud of you for. Now, it's not 7 things listed out like, Rob, I'm proud of you for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, Rob, I'm proud of you for spending time with the kids today and giving them really valuable insights. Rob, I'm really proud of you for, and so on. And then the next one is, Rob, I forgive you for. And I mean, this forgiveness piece is so key, right? Because it's a lot of the time we walk around beating ourselves up like with a stick, right? Basically, we don't forgive ourselves. And it's like being in a boat, wanting to go to this beautiful destination, but the anchor's in the water and you can't move. And this forgiveness piece is so important. So it's like, Rob, same position. Rob, I forgive you for, and the things that I forgive you for breaking your promise to George, and not doing what you said you're going to do, and 6 more things. And the final one is Rob, I commit to you that. And, so Rob, I commit to you, and this is a declaration of what you commit to. And it might be, Rob, I commit to you that I'm going to have 2 really powerful interactions today where I give those people my undivided attention for at least half an hour. So whatever it might be, and 7 of those. And it's Lisa Nichols, the mirror exercise. But what comes up for me with that one is forgiveness, right? So now let's go deep into the Tasia Valenza hole here. So like, what was the toughest thing that you need to forgive yourself for, and why? Whatever comes up for you.
Wow, that's such a deep question. What I had to forgive myself for? And what comes up for me? I have to forgive myself for, different times in my life, but I probably the deepest thing I have to forgive myself for is that I wasn't able to forgive at a soul deep level my mother for her challenges to being a mother. And I said I forgave her, and I tried to forgive her, and she was I was raised with divorce, and my mother had 3 children, basically single mother, and she was had, again, from her childhood, had lived a very depressed life. She was born in the Depression, so talented, but didn't love herself. And her name is Gloria, by the way. And but she really worked on herself. She did meditation, and she went to therapy and so many forms. And as I grew older, she said, I'm so sorry that I couldn't love you the way you needed to be loved, because I didn't love myself. And you were like a little mini me. And so I wanted to forgive, but as I shared in my TEDx talk, that tone of contempt and frustration and impatience and critical would come out so often, even if it was just the tone versus the words. And she passed, she's gone, she's transitioned, and I miss her so much. And I know she's with me, but I have to forgive myself, because I know now, as a mother, my 3 children, and I'm married and I have a beautiful support system, how difficult that role is to do well. And I just wish I could have given great voice in the way that I now know she needed: more compassion, more empathy, more kindness. So even though I know she's with me, she gives me signals all the time, I have to forgive myself that I couldn't do that for her when she needed it most.
Thank you, honey. And the thing which comes up for me with this is that, you're teaching so many other people, through what you do as a coach, as your rooms do, as the movement that you've inspired is doing, right? Not only to give great voice, but to spread that love around. And I love that viral nature of give great voice. It can spread from person to person. Yeah, it's a beautiful mission. And so quickly, and then we get on to Star Wars, how did you forgive yourself? So if someone's watching this and they say, okay, I get that I need to forgive myself. I get that there's things here that I have empathy for, because if I had their upbringing, how could I do anything else but what they did? Because we can only do the best that we can do with what we know. And that's the maximum of what she or he or they knew. So expecting something else is crazy of me to even think that. So maybe I don't forget, but I can empathize, not sympathize. I can empathize, because I understand that if I was in their shoes, knowing what they knew, I would do exactly the same thing or worse. So, all right, I get that. Now, but the most important forgiveness is that I give to myself. So if someone watching here now, and they know they need to forgive themselves about something, what would you say to them? What advice would you give them?
Yes. Well, self-forgiveness is a huge challenge because, so often we are the hardest on ourselves. What I do is I realize there's a beautiful inner child in me. I often look at a photo and I say, how would I treat this little child who made a mistake, who made an error? And that's what I do. I put my hands on my heart and I go back and I say, I love myself because I know that there's a little Tasia in me who's the one who's hurting the most. And that's who needs forgiveness. So the more I can treat myself like a beautiful little girl who needs that kind of empathy and sympathy and sweetness, the more I can forgive myself, the grown-up, and know that, I can move on from there because that's what I would do for my child. That's what I would do. I would easily forgive my child because I love my child so much. And so each one of us has a child within them. Each one of them has wounded emotions. And if I often tell my clients to get a picture of I would actually just get it mine because this is literally what I have on my desk.
Wow.
And I speak to her.
Oh, beautiful.
And I say, I love you, and please forgive me for what I didn't do right, and I love you, and I'm here for you. And that is, to me, the healing process that needs to take place, because it's that again, there's another name for our subconscious is the 0 to 3, the child in us, and these so often were the wounds, the 0 to 7 came about, and where we need the most forgiveness. So that's helped me a lot, and I offer it to you and who needs that we forgive ourselves, we forgive the child within us, and we support that little one because they live in us, and if we don't honor them, they act out, they scream, they emote, and so that's who needs the forgiveness and the love and the support, and from there we can go on. And once we forgive ourselves, so much easier to forgive others. So much easier to forgive others.
Wow.
That's my dog trying to get back in.
Yeah, I love it. Your dog's amazing. I've seen your dog a couple of times.
He's like this big Bernedoodle who's like a human in a dog suit. Yeah. So he opens the door, he closes the door, he barks. So anyway, I hope that's relevant in terms of a perspective. Extremely.
And honoring people. So there's 2 people on the call. Ryan Kalish, if you're still listening, mate. Ryan Kalish is a 2-time World Series Major League Baseball champion. And amazing fella, and obviously had major success, but also had a major struggle with mental health. And he's a beautiful soul here in Bali. Love him not to death, love him dearly. He's a great guy, and this mental health is such an important area. He's a mental acuity coach because when you have a massive success like that, the fall is even greater. And then there's another beautiful woman, Denise Reno, who's an actress and a singer. And Denise Reno reached out to Tasia, you two. Both in the States. I think she might be in Hollywood. So Denise is another amazing spirit. She's the fearless nomad is what she calls it, and she's got this blog called The Fearless Nomad, and just a powerhouse, inspiring, beautiful woman. So you two connect, right? Anyway, so let's move on to Star Wars, right? So Star Wars actor. Now, what the hell happened? So how did all of this come about?
Sure. So, well, I've somehow been connected to the stars. I don't know why. Between Star Trek and Star Wars, I've been in the stars a lot, and even on Space Above and Beyond. So, I first as an actor, I played on camera one of the first adult Vulcans, and Star Wars Next Generation to Shonnet the Vulcan. So that was very cool because again, I'm such an emotional person that to be able to, know my role and be able to tap into that logical side of myself was very cool, again, as an actor, to know that we can channel things that don't inherently run in us. So that was very fun, because I had grown up watching Star Trek, and then, was a huge Leonard Nimoy fan. So to play my first adult Vulcan was terrific. And then, as I segued into voiceover, I was able to be cast as the Jedi Shakti, General Shakti in the Clone Wars, which was now the animated version. And she, again, was, each one of these characters, I feel like I get to become more of them as I input them, because I take a little of their wisdom and their energy to me. So General Jedi Shakti was so cool, and she channels the Force and has such authority and grounded passion. So I love playing her in the Clone Wars. And then there was Star Wars Resistance, which is Vanessa Doza, which was a series on who was my first mother and badass character. So she just was a Star Wars fighter for a captain, and also, she's the consola, but with a heart of gold, and a daughter. So that was incredible. And then I also voiced for Star Wars Discovery the Shenzhou computer. So I've been in the Star Wars universe a lot, and very grateful for it, and the Star Trek universe. And I don't know if it's just because I inherently, I'm always a seeker of knowledge, and it comes to me that way, or I just get lucky. So I feel very fortunate that I get to be a part of these incredibly deep and beautiful franchises.
Yeah. So then, which part for you, we often talk about this word synchronicity, synchrodestiny, right? So I remember you said earlier on, that you felt that this is what you were born to do. Right, that you were born to do this from a very early age. I love the fact that your dad had the foresight to know, this girl's in trouble, and she I need to get her a coach, I need to get her a counselor, a therapist of some description. Brilliant. So maybe there's people watching now saying, okay, I'm not sure if acting's for me, I'm not sure if the voice part's for me, how can I know? What should I do? How can I get in? Is it a synchronicity piece? Do I have to feel like, I was born to do this? Or is there, how can I dip my toe in? How can I do it?
Ah, yes. That's the thing I love about Give Great Voice, especially because the idea is we all have this creative genius within inside of us. And, I call it dipping our lip, right? So I think that, the idea is some of us we're just born to do it. We know, whatever it is, it's like usually some form of creativity. I don't know that many of us are born to be an accountant, but but in the creative world, what fills our souls, we know, and if we're lucky enough, my father was my first acting teacher. His name was Frank Valenza. And he would walk with me on the beach, even though we were, he was divorced. We would spend Saturdays together, and he was my first acting teacher to teach me that, I love you can mean many different things. It's what's underneath, it's what are we really trying to say. So he would teach me all that. And then again, he because of his own life, working on himself, from changing the destiny of his family, which was very much of, the Bible and the belt, a lot of religious, very beautiful people, but very restricted. Because of his acting background and his ability to go to therapy, he was able to change that lineage to me. Wow. So then I was able to, give that to my kids, and so they naturally grow up with that awareness of their feelings and to feel their feelings. So I would ask, what's inside of you? Where's that spark? What makes you feel good? When people come into the Give Great Voice room and their professions are more in that, the left brain, more of that logical, and then they come in with a poem or a song and they light up. I think it lives in all of us. This need to give great voice, this need to be known, to be understood, to express ourselves through our creativity. Some more, painting, writing, but there's many of us who want to be known for this, or to express it and to have that energy pass. So I would say, nowadays, There's an improv class, there's a voiceover class, there's an acting class, and you don't have to commit 100%. Try one, see how it makes you feel. Try another, see how that makes you feel. Allow the immersion process to let you, go on the journey, because it's a different world. We're not like restricted to, the coaches here and the class there. But what are we doing right now? You're in Bali and I'm here. So I would say, if it feels good to create that way, come into a Clubhouse room, come to the Give Great Voice room, share a quote or a poem or a song or a short story. See how that makes you feel, and then let that be your guide to see where you want to take it. And of course, don't give up your day job, as it were, but let it be an adjunct. Voiceover for me was an adjunct to the acting until it became more and more and more. And then one day it was like, this is what I was really born to do. But that was 6 years. So people are so often in a rush. Let the creativity flow, nourish it, be curious about it, and let it take you and see where you go with it, as opposed to I must land. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. And there's a great guy called Robert Caro, and he is a communication specialist. He's done 6,000 hours of public speaking, paid public speaking. He's a US guy, and he's a parent as well, and he advises Fortune 500 companies on communication, including also the United States Congress, right? So I've interviewed him twice. He's a great guy. Met him on Clubhouse as well, right? Amazing guy.
So cool.
Yeah, it's crazy how you meet some amazing people on Clubhouse. And but one of the things which I gleaned from him was this understanding that communication is the number one most important tool for life. Because if you can communicate in a persuasive, emotional, way that's powerful, that's resonating, that's got the frequency and the tone, right? Literally, it opens up all the doors and keys to your life, right? All the doors and keys to your life. So it's such a powerful thing to do. And, I remember even as recently as last week in your room, and, as you mentioned, all sorts of different people, those who are professionals, those who are amateurs, those who have got nothing, no idea. They're just there because they like the vibe of the room and they want to share a quote and a poem. And one of the things which I enjoy listening to the most is when you have one of those people who's clearly not a professional, and they come into a room and then they read it the first time, and you can feel the apprehension because it's scary. I'm reading this thing.
Right? They're like, their energy is high and their nerves are going.
Yeah. It's like, and then you just calm them down with that amazing voice that you have. And it's like, look, I love what you've done. And this time, and you're treating them as though they're an actor, but they all respond really beautifully. Now this time, come back and inject more of yourself and your love and your passion into this delivery, and really feel what you're saying. I'm there.
But I think it's like there's this element of just giving permission. You had it done, you got it out, and you didn't fail. It was wonderful. And now let me give you even more of a safety feeling that you can do even more with that intention. To give great voice means a lot of people don't even know the term, what the essence. So it's I teach the art of confident, compassionate, captivating communication, utilizing the skills of an actor and a voiceover actor in your own life, so you can play your personal and professional roles more successfully. So that is how I approach it. And so if I can ask, so let's give you the intention now of taking these words off the page that you just shared, and now have the intention of inspiring me, or adding a smile, or, a little bit more gravitas, like that Jedi, or the seduction of poisonous poison ivy, and giving them permission to play, but having that second chance it just kind of liberates them that they're in a safe space and they can be even more themselves. So I think that's what you like experiencing, and that's what the fun is of teaching somebody, that it's already in them. It's just kind of tweaking it. But the first time, it's so often it's just like all nerves, and they, they're not in their bodies. So I think that's the fun of giving them that second chance.
Yeah, and that, you mentioned it, that you hit it, right? That giving yourself permission is such a key, intricate, innate, important part of this whole process. As you said, we have it all. We are these unlimited beings, but we limit ourselves in different ways. And you're there as a facilitator, taking people from one side to the other, and the way you do it is seamless. It's just wonderful to be a part of it and to see it happen in front of your eyes. And when you give somebody their confidence, to speak, to inspire, to elucidate, to speak from their heart, what's more powerful than that? Because that frequency and that resonance and that tone, it just cuts right through. And as you mentioned, whatever situation you're in, the kids, work, whatever it is, giving a presentation, right? Whatever it is, like it comes.
Doing an interview, as you do so beautifully.
Yeah, and the breathing, breathe, what we kind of forget to do. And I want to get onto that breathing in a second. I want to leave the guys with some breathing tips. But what I also really enjoy about you is that you're a parent of 3, as you mentioned, and there was some stuff going on in your past that was healed, and now you have this great ability, to give great voice to your kids. And I have 2 kids, and some people watching this will probably have children too. And, what comes up is, how can we inspire our kids from the get-go to give great voice?
Yes. Well, my kids keep me honest, and I want to just be very transparent that they're the first ones to tell me, they're teenagers, almost 18. I have twins that are 18, boy, girl, and then almost a 16-year-old. And they're the ones who always say, that's not really giving great voice, is it, Mom? They're the ones who always like, yeah, you're right. Okay, so would you please clean up your socks for the 800th time, as opposed to, can you do that? So they keep me honest. And, my motto is we teach what we need to learn. So, I am the first one to be able to teach it, and the first one who needs to continue to learn it, because we're reactive beings. And I find it, for many of us, it's much easier to give great voice in our professional lives and the reaction mode in our personal lives, where we don't always remember, what is my role? Who am I speaking to? What is the success of this scene? And how does my voice support that intention? But I will say what I have done in terms of empowering them is to be able to speak their minds and give great voice early on, both as self-affirmation. Like if you teach them young to love themselves at 0 to 3, like if you have them power posing, their favorite superhero. The power posing, by the way, is made famous by Amy Cuddy from her TED Talk of the same name, Power Pose. There's my doggy coming back. It's my husband Harvey. Say hi, honey. So power posing has the ability that when we can channel our inner superhero, we can channel our Superman, our Wonder Woman, and that actually raises our testosterone, lowers our cortisol levels. And so, to teach them that they can do this young at 3 years old, when they still love that, that superhero part of themselves, is an incredible thing. Like, I love myself. I believe in myself. I am Wonder Woman. I am powerful. Great. Let's get them going in that I have early on. And then if that can be programmed in, they're going to be set, because even when they come up against something, they're not going to be like, I hate myself. I'm an idiot. I'm so stupid. They're going to be like, yes, I have it in me. So I made a mistake. That's okay. So my kids know they made a mistake. That's okay. Or I forgive myself. Or, I ask them for forgiveness when I mess up. So they're used to me saying, I'm sorry. My husband saying, I'm sorry. And then they can forgive me and feel empowered, and vice versa. So much of it is that permission to love ourselves fully and not to think that it's cocky or arrogant. And the other one is permission to be sorry and to say it without the ego coming in the way and saying, no, parents are always right. No, we mess up a lot. So when I can do that, then they get practice in forgiving me and then ultimately forgiving themselves.
Wow. I wish we had this conversation about 3 years ago. My kids are only 5 and 6, about to be 7. But yes, I feel that there's certain things that I could have done. And I get the idea now of why you play the superhero. And like, again, you just give me a little insight there. It's actually about you, that you're intuiting, and you're mirroring that back to yourself. I am Superman. It's like,
well, that's it. I mean, like, we why do we love superheroes? Yeah. Because we all want it. Why do we watch these movies? Because all of us want to believe we have it. And Amy Cuddy said that, that studied in her book Presence, like, does the mind control the body in terms of I feel good and then I'm powerful? But the body can hack the mind. You can stand in this pose for 2 minutes and you raise your testosterone, which is your power hormone, that one that makes you confident, and you lower your cortisol levels. So yeah, why not channel it in early when kids are captivated and they're not embarrassed? And then, like, let's take that into our grown-up. I have, like, all my students, that whether they're like Fortune 500, mortgage brokers or lawyers or doctors or speakers, like power posing and channeling some of this good energy and affirmations, and my kids too. So, but this is like, it's very awkward when you get to a certain age, but wouldn't it be great if that's programmed in? Then we do it naturally.
Yeah, love it. Goodness. And like, so now you, as you mentioned, you were born to do this, right? You're born to communicate, born to be an actor. And I love the way that it's moved and you positioned it around for your family to become a voiceover actress. So there you have time with the kids, time with your husband, time to have those other sides of life, which as a actor, you're traveling around a lot, it's a lot more difficult. And, but even in that, even though you're born to do it, even though you you love doing it, even though you're great at doing it, right? It's true. So what are there still challenges for you, to overcome? And if so, what sorts of challenges are they, and how do you overcome them?
That's a great question. And I just want to speak to the fact that, don't worry, you're such an amazing parent. So it's not too late to get them power posing and affirming. So promise me you'll do that, but get them channeling their inner superhero now. So I just want to, before we move on to that topic, I just wanted to say, yeah, it's great. There's no time like the present to get them like loving themselves. So on the other one, yes, there's always another level. Right now I'm trying to find the balancing act of being a voiceover actor, being a voiceover coach, doing workshops, and then doing the Give Great Voice coaching with my non-voiceover clients, and doing the Give Great Voice workshops and doing Clubhouse, and then still being present to my family and giving them. So I've actually made a conscious decision before my twins are off to college in August. So I'm basically in a coasting mode, and I'm not leveling up right now because I need to rock that role of wife and mother right now, because I don't want to be in regret that I was incredibly successful and moving, but then my kids are gone, and I wasn't valuing this precious time. So yeah, I think balance is something that we're all struggling with, especially more than ever, where our life is enmeshed with COVID, where there was no boundaries from when are we working, when are we not working, and social media is 24/7, and it's so easy to talk like this, while we're distracted, and I got you, love, yep. So I'm really trying to be conscious of my intentional communication and how I can live with myself and my values. So I have to keep asking, what are my values? And maybe be okay with the fact that I miss an opportunity that is presenting itself for my career right now, because the goal and the values that I have right now are to have this balance of the most important role that I'll ever play as wife and mother, these familial roles. So I think that's where I'm at in terms of that. And in terms of professional goals, there's always another one. But I try to balance it with what matters today in this moment. And what must I do to make sure that I feel good about what, my values, like what matters the most to me.
That balance is such it's a slippery fish in some ways, and it's I think over the years where I've gotten to, where I've arrived at with that one is that it's not for me so much a balance, it's a balance between balance points. So if on this side here is extreme work over here, red line, extreme work, no personal time, no time for family, no time for you, extreme. Then on this side is the opposite to that. So this side is like, we're chilling out. All I do is spend time by myself. It's like, I'm so relaxed that I walk horizontally, right? And then at various points in my life, based upon what's going on and what's needed right now, I oscillate between those 2 points, but never really reach them. So I'm oscillating between them, acknowledging at that moment, okay, well, right now, what the priority is to make sure I spend time with Marina and the kids. And, I know we've got to bring money in and all these other things we've got to do. But, if I can steal those moments, so in the morning sometimes when I'm doing things, I'm about to run out, and the kids are like, Daddy, let's go swimming. And I'm like, okay, and I'll go and I'll spend that half an hour, and I have an amazing time for that half an hour, and they really love it, and they really feel like they've had that piece of me. I feel, that I'm a little bit calmer or something, and I love it, and then what I've taken to doing recently that some people might think is a bit weird is that, so as I'm in Bali, Indonesia, as you know, and it's an amazing place, and so what I make sure that I do during my day when I'm riding around on the bike, I'll stop at certain spots and I'll just take it in. Even if it's for a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I'll just take it in. Maybe say a little prayer. And interestingly enough, the spots where I've been drawn to stopping have all been next to temples. So I'm there.
Wow, incredible. But there's nothing weird about it. It's like literally you're drawn into the energy of it, and why judge ourselves that would be weird? It's like you literally are becoming present and appreciating that moment and that energy. It's wonderful. Yeah,
and I guess the weird part of it is a bit because it's not that I'm inside the temple, inside the walls, having a prayer. I'm like outside on the street, on my bike, shoes off, feet in the ground, and I've got something in my hands, and I'm clearly I'm praying. So it's funny, people riding by in a car going, "What's that guy doing? What the heck?" And
Bali. Why? Isn't it all bets are off? Like at least from our perspective, that should not be weird at all. In Los Angeles, that might be considered weird, but in Bali, it should be like, oh, he must be, praying and generating the energy from that temple. It's Bali, friend. I laugh because I would think that everybody would be like that in Bali, but maybe our perspective is off. That even there it could be considered weird. But I think it's wonderful. I really honor the fact that you do that because it's so beautiful that I just posted, I'm literally smelling a rose in my front yard, a tea rose. And it's so rare that roses actually smell. And sharing how just to remember to stop and smell the roses, which means just stop and be a human being as opposed to a human doing. Because that's how often are we a human doing my list and I have to do and I have to do and I have to do. And instead just being present fully in all of our senses for that moment before we're off to being a human doing again.
Yeah, and the link to all of this is that right now there's so much creation and manifestation going on personally, on a personal level, family level, business level. It's all blowing up, right, in a good way. And you know, part of it is that I started to do this probably about two months ago, and there's a link between the time, actually, you know, on a more serious note, there's a link between the time where I started to do that, and so call it coincidence, which I don't. For me, it's not coincidence at all, but it really is something which I do every day, and something that keeps me grounded, and you know, this thing, as you mentioned about Bali, the island of the gods, there is this kind of 5 different religions living here, all honored and appreciated, all have their own time in the calendar. It's a nightmare when you're trying to do business and you've got stuff. It's like, oh, another holiday, goodness, right? I thought Australia was bad, but no, Bali goes it's another level, right? And it really is. But then this present day awareness of being aware, right, of being mindful of what you're doing and slowing things down is giving me a better quality of life and a better quality of understanding in the thoughts that I have and what I go about doing and what my plan is for the day when I have a plan, and also, you know, what my intention is for the day also. So it's something which I believe that the place also gives you, you know, this depth, this profundity of self that you can use in different ways. I mean, so then talking about that as it's come up synchronistically, you know, what is it that you do? Because you strike me as being a very soulful woman. You're busy, you have a husband, great guy, I'm sure, you have kids, you have all these different businesses going on. Like, how do you stay grounded? And, you know, maybe through other people hearing that, they're going to get some inspiration too on how they can stay grounded in their everyday life in a city environment.
Oh, that's a great question, and I love it. You know, again, we're all works in progress. I'm always working on myself. I would have to say the greatest teacher, and there's a couple of, you know, quotes that are my totems, one of my go-tos. Gratitude is the gift that I give myself when I'm off center, or to keep myself, to set the tone of the day, every day. And I literally cultivate gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, and I give great voice to gratitude daily, which helps me then ground myself. Because, you know, I start my morning out saying, it's on my mirror and I've memorized it, today is an incredible day. Success, prosperity, and abundance in many different forms have naturally found their way into my life today. I gratefully enjoy their manifestations throughout my day and happily share these blessings of abundance with many others in order to bring happiness to their day as well. I am happy, I am healthy, I go down the list. I force myself, or I've conditioned myself, even though I know this by heart in my mirror, not to just think it, but to say it out loud. And, you know, the law of attraction, Rhonda Byrne, Napoleon Hill, I am constantly reminding myself of doing it out loud. I love my house. I love the flowers. I love you, my husband. I'm grateful for you. So I'm conditioning myself to have an attitude of gratitude. And that helps me to ground when I get anxious or fearful or frustrated or, you know, entitled, or all the things, you know, the first world problems that come along. I give myself, happiness is being grateful for what you have right now. That's one of my totems that I learned from a very wise teacher of mine. Happiness is being grateful for what you have right now. Happiness is not contingent upon the future. It's not when I get thinner or richer or I get that job. All of those things can give us happiness for the moment, but the depth of happiness comes from the awareness and the appreciation, and for me, the ability to give great voice to it daily, by the moment, by the hour. And that's what has, I believe, given me the most magical life that continues on to this day.
Wow. Oh, getting nice little goose pimples here, nice little waves of energy rolling through. I love you, sister. That's why I call you my sister, by the way. You know, because you're my soul sister. You know, like, you know.
I feel the same. I feel the same. You generate such beauty and such soul. The questions you ask, Robert, says to me, you know, it's like I can't wait to interview you one day, because the questions you ask reveal your soul and the wisdom that comes through them. I feel so honored to be in your presence. The highest compliment I can give to you is you give great voice. Your soul comes through, your frequency of height, and you lift me up by being in your presence. And everybody that you talk to, that's why you're winning awards, because people want to learn from you and grow from you and be in your sphere.
Thank you. Ooh, I take that wholeheartedly. Thank you very much, you know. And look, so as we draw this one to a close, I could speak to you forever, and we're going to do more of these. You know, how can people get in touch with you? What is it that you do? How can people contribute to what you're doing?
Well, thank you. You know, again, the Give Great Voice mission is, for me, my legacy. It's what I was put on this planet to contribute. We all have our gifts. And that's, again, why I support people, that everybody's story matters, everyone's voice matters, and how they want to contribute to the world, whether they touch one person or millions. It's my mission to help them support their voice. So there's many ways to do that. Watching the TEDx talk, Give Great Voice, and commenting it and sharing it is one way to share the overall mission, the mission of this idea of how we can utilize these tools to give great voice to ourselves and to each other. And that's something that I would love to share, the TEDx. So you can watch that. If you want to get to know me, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram. If I can support your ability to give great voice, whether that's a TED Talk or a podcast or an interview or on Clubhouse, you can come to a Clubhouse room Thursdays at 4 p.m. and just bring a quote or a poem or a song, and we can contribute together and lift each other up, and I'm happy to support you there. If you want to learn voice acting, I teach classes. So it's really, the big mission is that I would love for each one of you to be an ambassador to Give Great Voice, and ask yourself every day, who did I give great voice to today? Who did I move, touch, and inspire? And if that person is just you, that will have been enough. Because when you fill yourself up and you love on yourself and in through yourself, you will have so much more bandwidth for anybody in your sphere. So that is my goal, that the world should know what it means to give great voice. I ask for all help to create it as a worldwide movement. And at the same time, however I can support you and your mission, you can find me through Tasia Valenza, Give Great Voice, and I will be here to serve.
Wow. You know, and look, so as we begin to close, you know, we usually leave it to the guest, to you, my darling, to, you know, see us off in about a minute and a half or so with any words that maybe it could be something that you want to reinforce. It could be something that you haven't said before to say, oh, I want to say that. Or it might be, you know, something else, right, that you're welcomed into doing. And then after that, we'll close this one off, all right? So I'll give you about a minute and a half to think about what that looks like or what that feels like for you. So just for those of you watching this, so this is SpeakuP Monday, Inspiring Humanity live stream that we do every week. It's part of SpeakuP Monday, an award-winning deep dive Q&A. And it's about, thank you, darling, it's about unlocking wisdom and inspiration and tips and tricks and hacks, but really it's not really a hack. It's just you seeing who a person really is at their core and seeing yourself in them, because ultimately there's 4 or 5 things that we all have, that we all want and desire, right? To be significant, to be loved, respected, and seen for who we are, to be fulfilled in what we do. And this permeates everything: color, religiosity, background, race, all of that. And that's what we do with this. So when you watch one of these, right, then you're left with this sense of connectedness to the other person and connectedness to other people, which we call humanity as a whole. So feel free to join SpeakuP Monday group on Facebook. SpeakuP Monday is on Instagram, but that's more of this is what we have going, right? It's not really a community. It's more on Facebook. And the YouTube SpeakuP Monday, Robert Ian Bonnick / SpeakuP Monday also. So look forward to seeing you the next time on one of our, we have 3 streams a week. Clubhouse, by the way, Clubhouse next week. Stephanie Rodriguez is a lady I've known for many years, and she has the most amazing story. I mean, this woman is like a globalpreneur, a female powerhouse who is going to launch this app in Africa. She was bitten by a mosquito, and then transiting back through Boston to get back to Australia, collapsed in the airport, rushed to hospital. Now, this woman died 3 times, Tasia. 3 times she was pronounced dead, but she 3 times. So now I'm getting goose pimples. She contracted cerebral malaria. Cerebral malaria, right? Now, she, where do I start? So basically, she spent, I think, over 400 days in hospital in between the US and Australia. They wanted to amputate her legs. She said no. They amputated her toes. She went through rehab, all of this stuff. Then they took her feet. So now she's like this bionic woman. And interestingly enough, she had a mission before this, similar to mine and yours, to impact 1 billion people, 1 billion lives. And we're doing a book together, and I'm advising her on other things. But she is amazing. So we're going to do this Clubhouse room next week. I think it's going to be called something about miracles. It will have miracles in the title. And I invite you, Tasia, I invite anyone who's watching this to come and join us. SpeakuP Monday Q&A on Clubhouse. It's going to be amazing. She's such a woman of power, inspiration. So that's going to be next week. Courage. Thank you.
Incredible
Courage. And I love to link you 2 up, because there's something.
Yes, I will be there.
There's something there.
Honor and learn. I would love it.
Yeah.
I'd be so grateful for that. I mean, this is, again, you always bring such incredible guests that you could be a fly on the wall and learn so much without ever just, asking a question. But you always make it so invitational and open, and have other people join in the conversation. So yes, anybody who has a chance, come. I can't wait to learn from you and from Stephanie.
Yeah, and look, that leads me over to you, my darling. So any closing words or whatever you're drawn to doing. But before we do that, I just want to honor you, my sister, for being an incredible human being, inspiring humanity as you do. You inspire the hell out of me, and I'm so blessed to be in your rooms every Friday. I can make it, which is pretty much every Friday, but Thursday, U.S. Pacific time, 4:00. You're an amazing woman, and I'm so proud to call you a friend, to call you a sister, and I look forward to whatever's coming next, and whatever we're going to do together. I know there's more to come, So, Mahana, over to you.
Thank you. Well, again, my gratitude knows no bounds, because just as you said, we all want to be known. We all want to feel valued. We all want to be heard. We all want to be understood. And you have done that for me by recognizing my gifts and allowing me to share them. And so again, I'm my gratitude for you, Robert. I did get a chance. I said so many things. I don't think I got a chance to offer that I have a free affirmation meditation app that it supports this idea of how we can learn this language of self-empowerment and self-love and practice it until it becomes more consistent. And it's called Haven Guided Affirmations. And I co-wrote each one and I voiced it, and it looks like a little lighthouse. And so I'd love to offer that as a tool to it charge people up so they can, on a daily basis, be kind to their minds and practice speaking self-kindness until it becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, it'll be so much easier then to, again, feel that deep, deep core of worthiness to then bring to the world. So I'm honored, I'm grateful. May we change the world together and lift each other up and give great voice.
Thank you, my darling. Tasia Valenza, have an incredible day. Lots of love. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear.